Hi there, sharing a prophetic dream that I had on September 1st of 2025. Woke just after midnight to record this dream. So in the dream, I was staying at an Airbnb of a white farmhouse in the country. I was driving an SUV. I'd gone out to get something and was coming back to the property. There were two driveways, and I had taken the first to the front of the house. As I approached, I saw a perfectly white horse walking up by the house and even on the front porch. Then it turned toward me, and I watched it change to become jet black. This happened very fast. It then began sprinting toward me, and then I saw it had a rider. The rider was also black in color. I saw only a black robe with the ends frayed as it rode past me extremely fast. The rider turned his head to look at me as if to make sure I saw him. I continued driving to the house. At first, I thought I wanted to get to the house before he returned because I was fearful. Then I realized that I either believed God was my protector or not. I began to pray in the spirit as I watched in my rear view the horse and rider turn around to follow me to the house. I awoke with a startle from the dream. My heart racing and super hot. I contemplated and recorded these things, realizing what I had just seen. I attempted to go back to sleep, but before I did, I asked the Lord about these things. This is what I heard him say. Rachel, you will soon see your currency fail. You will see inflation and you will see famine. It has come. Not only that, but plague. You will see death as he rides to and fro across the earth. Trust in me, and I will protect you and all who call upon my name and believe. Fear not that which is coming upon the earth, for I shall prevail within my people who have prepared inwardly through surrendering to my deep and abiding love for them. Cast all your cares upon me, for I am your strong tower and ever-present help in trouble. Fear not, death, which cannot hold you in me, for I have overcome death and the power of hell. Selah. So let's look at various dream interpretation elements, okay? As I saw, please take this to the Lord in prayer for yourself. I was traveling not at my own house, but out in the country, could be pointing to a safe wilderness location being positioned. The house was white, speaks of purity and innocence, divine presence. The house was set in a valley at the low point between hills around it. Driving an SUV, all-terrain vehicle speaks of safety and preparation. I believe that it was also white. Took the first driveway to the front of the house, taking things head on, a straight path. The number 1 points to unity, oneness with God, and united in purpose. The white horse, we see this biblically. Revelation 6:1-2. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the seven seals. Then I heard one of the four living creatures say, in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. The horse was not active when it was white. It seemed to be purposefully walking close to the White House and was at peace, not agitated. I believe this speaks to the Lord having already conquered my own heart. Zechariah 6:1-7. I looked up again, and there before me were four chariots coming out from between two mountains, mountains of bronze. The first chariot had red horses, the second black, the third white, and the fourth dappled, all of them powerful. I asked the angel who was speaking to me, "What are these, my Lord?" The angel answered me, "These are the four spirits, the ruach of heaven, going out from standing in the presence of the Lord of the whole world. The one with the black horses is going toward the north country, the one with the white horses towards the west, and the one with the dappled horses towards the south. When the powerful horses went out, they were straining to go throughout the earth." And he said, "Go throughout the earth." So they went throughout the earth. This synopsis, the term West Country, in reference to Zechariah 6:6, likely refers to the lands and people to the west of Israel, such as the Mediterranean nations and the empires that would rise there, including the Greek, Seleucid, and Roman empires. The chariots represents divine judgment and God's control over the nations ultimately, with the white horses symbolizing victory and peace, and their direction westward indicating God's influence and judgment spreading in those regions, possibly connected to the powerful naves that threatened Israel's western border. Okay, so that historical look. The horse changes colors. I observed this and watched the horse's coat shift from one end of the horse to the other. It went through a dappled look of a brown color as it shifted from white to the piercing black. This can symbolize duality, as in the white horse, the Lord Jesus, and the enemy that we see in the first seal being opened. The divine presence in some biblical contexts, dappled animals like those mentioned in Genesis 30 can signify God's favor or blessings, like that of Jacob's use of dappled animals for strategic planning and divine intervention. In Zechariah 6, 3 and 6, the first chariot had red horses, the second black, the third white, and the fourth dappled, all of them powerful, and the one with the dappled horses toward the south. So toward the south is a reference to Egypt, regions of opposition to Israel. The synopsis of this signifies God's comprehensive judgment extending to all oppressive nations, encompassing both the ancient enemies of the north like Babylon and those in the south like Egypt, thereby restoring his people and establishing his sovereignty. So the biblical people of Israel, all 12 tribes, spread throughout now in our time, I believe, across all the earth. The black horse and rider. This is pretty clear. Revelation 6, 5, 6. When the Lamb opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the four living creatures: 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine. This particular angel that I have seen in person standing before me, once in January 2016 and then in January 2017, this angel spoke to me and said, "Woe to the inhabitants of the earth. You've been called to see that which is coming on the earth. Tell them what is coming." And at the time I received this dream, Comet 3 Atlas was going through our solar system, I believe according to God's perfect divine timing, cutting across the constellations with meaning and according to the feasts of God, the timing of the fall feasts of the Lord. I saw that as this divine messenger of light traveling through our solar system according to God's perfect celestial calendar created outside of time to guide us. And at this time of the dream, it was in the constellation of Libra, this ball of light pointing to Libra, and Libra signifying justice, balance, and redemption through atonement. It's tied to the imagery of scales, to the concept of weighing man's deeds and the need for a redeemer to make the balance right. It's linked to Revelation imagery of judgment and the Lamb's worthiness to redeem. And it's referenced here in various scriptures. We look at the constellations to be for lights, for signs and seasons. Let God weigh me in honest scales. You've been weighed in the scales and found wanting, as in the Day of Atonement sacrifices, justification through Christ's redemption, and Christ is the only worthy Redeemer. So the black horse and rider going supernaturally fast led me back again to Zechariah 6, verse 6 to 8. The one with the black horses is going toward the north country. When the powerful horses went out, they were straining to go throughout all the earth. And he said, "Go throughout all the earth." So they went through the earth. Then he called to me, "Look, those going towards the north country have given my spirit rest in the land of the north." And that word meaning stayed, dwelled, or ceasing. The north country biblically refers to Babylon. The prophet Jeremiah uses the term north country to refer to the source of impending disaster and judgment. Then regarding what Jesus said, so that was all the imagery of the dream, things to contemplate. Regarding what Jesus said, he said, "You will see death as he rides to and fro across the earth." I think this is the primary warning, the sense of urgency that I had as I saw him and that sort of impending darkness or impending destruction. That verbiage is referenced Zechariah 1, where he sees a man on a red horse standing in a ravine with other red, brown, and white horses. And they answered the angel of the Lord that stood among the myrtle trees and said, "We have walked to and fro throughout the earth, and behold, all the earth still and is at," that word, rest. "They are the ones the Lord has sent to go throughout all the earth." Then the angel who was speaking to me said, "Proclaim this word. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I am very jealous for Jerusalem and Zion, and I am very angry with the nations that feel secure. I was only a little angry, but they went too far with the punishment. Therefore, this is what the Lord says. I will return to Jerusalem with mercy, and there my house will be built, and the measuring line will be stretched out over Jerusalem, declares the Lord Almighty." As I think back upon this dream, the one thing that sticks with me more than anything was the black robed rider on the jet black horse riding right at me, right past me, turning and looking at me, making sure I saw him, and then him turning around, coming back. In this sense of impending doom or judgment. So I think that the speed of that to me is something that should cause us to pause. At the time I'm recording this, January 2026, I believe we've seen the first 5 seals opened according to the angel Gabriel. The 3rd and 4th seals were opened now in October 11th and 12th of 2024, over a year ago, when the first angel of death, this angel clad in black, standing 10 feet tall, standing before me and speaking to me. The warning was, I'm raising up the Josephs, this beautiful promise from God of people who are prepared for what is coming, to be deliverers of their brothers. Okay, that's who Joseph was ultimately, had the favor of God, was perfectly positioned, and was shown what was coming that he could prepare. Because of that, his brothers survived the famine. So the Lord said to me in that first encounter, I'm raising up the Josephs, and then the date the famine begins is January 16. So that has now been over 10 years ago, because that was January 3rd of 2016. So that word from the Lord is one of the most clear, most punctuated word that the Lord has ever given me. Though I still have not full understanding. I was not told a year, and I don't believe we have seen that fully come to pass. I think there has been an advancing towards that. So here we are, watching and waiting, January 16, 2026. Or will it be a future year? This date the famine begins, that kicks off a period of famine. A famine that I believe, because this is involving this 3rd and 4th seal, death and famine, definitely a physical, a body implication, but also a spiritual implication, a famine of the word. So these are things that I ponder as I think about this dream. Thanks.